Hello and welcome to the Sewing Studio. Today is the December block of the month for our postcards. So this one is all about the home and Christmas. There's a little nod to Christmas there. So I'm just going to do a recap with you to show you the postcards that we've done throughout the year, one representing every month. So we've got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and now December. And I am going to show you how to put all of these together to make a mini quilt or a wall hanging. So stay tuned to find out how we do that. But first of all, I'm going to show you the December postcard. Now, these are cut at 5 by 7. It may be that we trim them down, or it may be that we leave them at that when we come to put them all together. So traditionally, postcards are 6 inches by 4 inches, but we've done these a little bit bigger, so we have got a little bit of play on them. So the first thing I've done is I've cut a piece of background fabric, and it's a very thin piece of calico, and I've already put some Bonder web on it. So I'm just going to break the back of that Bonder web. I thought I was going to be organised today. I thought I was going to have my pin ready. So I'm just going to break that with a pin and take the backing off the Bonder web. And then the next thing I've done is I've got a piece of fabric, and I think this looks a bit like the night sky, and I'm laying that onto the Bonder web, and I've got it bigger than the Bonder web, but I'm going to trim that off afterwards. So it's just the positioning of the snowflakes. So that's why I've left it a bit bigger, so I can play around so I don't lose too many of the snowflakes. And then I've got a piece of fabric that's white, and you can see that I've cut a curved shape in it, and that's going to represent the snow. So I'm going to lay that on there. When I'm happy with the placement of those, I'm going to go over to the iron, and I'm going to press those down so that they stick to the back. And then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to trim it up so it is the same size as the background. So I'm just cutting the edge to get rid of the excess fabric. So there we have our background. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build up the picture. So I'm going to cut a square for the house. So I've got this goldy colour here. So if you're not confident, just draw out a rough shape on a piece of paper and then place it to see if it's the size you want on here before you trace it onto your Bonder web. But I'm just very roughly going to cut out a sort of square rectangle type shape. Oh, it's a bit wobbly. So that's roughly the size that I want. So actually what I should have said, before you do this, come back a bit, I did some wavy lines on the background before I started the house, just to give the illusion of snow. So I would encourage you to do some sort of stitching along here to give the illusion of snow I don't know if you can see on that camera, hopefully you can see these stitches here. So then you're going to take your background, and what I do is I cut all the pieces out and take the back off, but don't stick them down with the iron at this point. I just lay them on there ready for ironing in a moment, because I want to make sure I've got everything at the right size before I do any more. So I would do that first. Then I would do the roof. So I've got this lovely scrap of fabric here that looks like roof tiles. So I'm just going to take that so I can roughly work out the size that I want to do the roof line. Kind of want to go from there. It's all a bit trial and error, but that's the good fun part. So just cut out a rough roof shape. And then I'm going to do a chimney. So I've got this grey fabric here, which I'm going to use for the chimney. I've got to think how I did this. I've cut the wrong angle now. It's just a bit too tall. So once you're happy with the placement of your pieces, I would press those. So I'm going to go to the iron and press these into place. Then I'm going to come back and do the detail, which are the windows and the door. So I want this in place first so it doesn't move, so I haven't got too many pieces. So I'm just going to take this to the iron and carefully press it in place. And now that's secure, I'm going to cut out the windows. This reminds me of the houses that I used to draw as a child. A square box with 4 windows and a door. So that's what I'm doing here. Oh, they're probably a little bit too wide because I've got to get a front door on there. So this is the great thing about this. You can just play around till you feel you've got the right sizes. And then the front door, I've just done a little curve at the top. So I would continue building this up, so putting the windows and the door. So you can see on this one here that I've done a little bit of stitching around what would be the window of the door and a little door handle. So you could put a little bead on there. You can see that I've put some holly on it. That's the nod towards Christmas. And on this one, I've just done 2 triangles. I've literally just cut out 2 triangles of fabric to form the trees. So it is that easy. You just cut a triangle and that would be your tree. And then I've done a little bit of stitching here to resemble the stem of the tree. So the other thing you could do is you could put, I had it here somewhere, I had some fabric that had this lovely robin. So you could fussy cut this robin. So if you didn't want to do the trees, for example, let's go back to the one that I'm creating, you could put that on it. You could bond that on it. You could do some embroidery. You could have a star in the sky. There's so many things you can do. So as I always say, make it your own. It's just about having fun. So the next instalment is me showing you how to put all of these together to make a lovely little wall hanging, which will celebrate every month of this year. So as always, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.